On May 8, 2021, a woman named Mali Perales was driving down Packer Drive Northeast Road alongside the Rogue River in Belmont, Michigan. She and her two roommates were on their way back after a night out, and they were all in a cheerful mood. However, their smiles quickly vanished as they stumbled onto a horrifying scene. At around 2:30 a.m., while driving near the Rogue Hollow Court, one of the passengers spotted a strange figure lurking by the side of the road. This encounter was extremely terrifying, but it also sparked the group's curiosity. After some deliberation, they decided to turn around, and this is what they then came across.
What the
No,
Stop.
I'm not. No. Hell no.
What the
Oh!
They were soaked.
They saw what looked like a young woman, drenched from head to toe, as if she had just crawled out of the nearby river. She also looked like she was crying, banging her head on the road, and waving for help. Molly posted the video of this encounter on TikTok, and it instantly went viral, leading people to come up with all sorts of far-fetched theories about ghosts, spirits, etc. However, as wild as the theories got, Mal later posted several videos shutting them down and revealing what really happened. According to her, they kept circling back and driving past the disturbed woman several times after recording the first video to make sure she was okay. While none of them had the nerve to get out of the car and approach her, they did call the cops and waited nearby until help arrived. The woman was then taken to a nearby hospital where she was treated for cold exposure. As it turns out, she had somehow fallen into the Rogue River from the east side and swam across it onto the road.
Yep, she had to have come up out of the water. Yep, there's a dig spot there. So she came up from down there. That's had to have been why she was so wet. This was the spot that she had left. I don't know why or what was going on.
After regaining some composure, she also revealed that she was from Kalamazoo, a town that's over 60 miles from where she was found. However, she had no recollection of how she got to Belmont or fell in a river so far away from home. From what we know, she was most likely experiencing a severe mental break, where her memory gap was caused by a rare condition known as fugue state. For those who don't know, a fugue state is a rare condition where a person suddenly loses their memory and starts acting like someone else. They might wander off, travel long distances, or do things completely out of character without realizing anything is wrong. It's usually triggered by extreme stress or trauma, and once it's over, the person often has no memory of what happened. And while this condition is quite rare, all the signs suggest that's exactly what happened to this mysterious woman from Kalamazoo, especially since the authorities later found her car parked behind a random house just east of the river. She likely drove to that neighborhood on her own, but had zero memory of doing so, which fits perfectly with the known symptoms of fugue state. Mal also shared her video in a local Facebook group, hoping to find more answers about what went down. Unfortunately, the responses she received weren't as helpful as she'd hoped, since most people in the neighborhood believed the screaming and noises were just the sounds of a wild animal, like a coyote. But there were a few responses that deepened the mystery, like this one person who remembered meeting her earlier that same night, stating, "Saw this person between Van Dam and Packer Woods around 10:15 p.m. Friday. Asked her if she needed help, to which she responded, no." Another person also mentioned hearing about a woman walking into his neighbor's house, yelling hello 3 times, and then leaving on her own. And while this added further evidence supporting the fugue state theory, these responses still left a key question unanswered. Who was she? Mal tried to contact both the police and the hospital for answers, but despite her insistence, both the police officers and the hospital staff refused to reveal her real name. That said, we still have enough information to make an educated guess. Based on everything I could uncover, the mysterious woman in this unsettling video was most likely Mei Zhou. She was a 28-year-old Chinese woman who went missing from Kalamazoo on May 6, 2021. Before her disappearance, she told her friends that she felt like she was being followed by a stalker she met online. Unfortunately, these are the only details about her case that were made public. I couldn't find any clear answers on whether the stalker was real or if she was just overwhelmed by paranoia. In either case, the constant fear and stress of feeling watched likely drove her to slip into some variation of the fugue state we discussed earlier. Hopefully, she received the mental help she desperately needed and is now in a better mental state than she was once. A family visits a trusted friend. Hours later, the house burns. 2 are found dead. 1 is missing. But thanks to a camera in the sky, the truth was finally captured. On August 3, 2013, 40-year-old James DiMaggio invited family friend Christina Anderson and her 2 children, 16-year-old Hannah and 8-year-old Ethan, to his home in Boulevard, California. He told them it was just a farewell visit. He was planning to move to Texas soon. Nothing about it seemed unusual. James had been close to the family for years, especially with Christina's husband, Brett. With Brett away on a job in Tennessee, James often stepped in to help. Even driving Hannah to gymnastics class, he was trusted, like an uncle. But the very next day, that trust turned to tragedy. On August 4th, Christina's parents called police after they couldn't get in touch with her. They told officers that she had gone to visit James. When investigators arrived at his house, they found it completely engulfed in flames. Firefighters battled the blaze, but once the flames were out, what they discovered inside would haunt everyone involved. 3 bodies were found. 1 was Christina Anderson. 1 was Ethan. The third, the family dog. What at first looked like a tragic accident quickly turned into a crime scene. Christina's autopsy revealed horrifying details. Plastic cable ties had been used to bind her ankles and wrists. There were duct tape marks around her mouth and neck. Her right arm and both legs were fractured. A deep cut marked her throat. And her head had been struck at least 12 times with a heavy object. Ethan also had multiple fractures across his small body. But there was one thing missing. 2 things, actually. James DiMaggio was nowhere to be found, and neither was Hannah Anderson. What looked like a house fire was actually a murder and kidnapping. Investigators quickly pieced together the truth. James had orchestrated this massacre to take Hannah for himself. His motives weren't just violent, they were twisted, obsessive, planned. An Amber Alert was issued across California. Police launched a manhunt along the Pacific coast, stretching from British Columbia to Baja California. For days, there were no solid leads. Every tip led to a dead end, and hope began to fade. Then, something incredible happened. 3 days after the murders, 2 horseback riders trekking through the rugged wilderness of Cascade, Idaho, spotted a man and a teenage girl. They'd seen news reports about the kidnapping, and they instantly recognized Hannah and her abductor. They called it in. Immediately, authorities began combing the area. They soon found James's car, abandoned in the woods with the plates removed. Still, it took 3 more days to locate the exact site. James had set up a hidden campsite deep in the mountains. The FBI deployed a surveillance jet equipped with a high-powered camera thousands of feet above. That footage, now public, confirmed what they hoped. Hannah was alive. On August 10th, the FBI prepared a tactical rescue mission. They waited, watching, looking for the right moment. But James stayed close to Hannah, never straying far. The wrong move could put her life in danger. Then, a break. James wandered off to collect firewood. At that moment, Hannah spotted the FBI's rescue helicopter. She knew. She started waving. That was it. The team moved fast. They descended on the site, reaching Hannah and pulling her to safety. James, realizing what was happening, grabbed one of the guns he had brought with him and opened fire. Agents returned fire. James DiMaggio was shot 6 times, in the head, arms, and torso. It was over. Hannah Anderson was finally safe. In the years since, she's rebuilt her life. She's now 27 years old, living in Vancouver, Canada with her husband and 1-year-old son. A horrifying chapter in her life closed. Thanks in part to a camera high in the sky and strangers on horseback who were paying attention. A 73-year-old man vanished, Search teams combed the woods, but it wasn't a search dog or a drone that found him. It was a news camera, recording live. On May 27, 2013, at around 4 p.m., 73-year-old Robert McDonough disappeared from his home in Portland, Maine. The disappearance of an elderly man is always serious, but in Robert's case, there was an even more urgent concern. He suffered from dementia. For those unfamiliar, dementia is more than just memory loss. It slowly takes away a person's ability to think clearly, recognize familiar faces, and even understand their surroundings. People suffering from dementia often wander, but they don't just lose direction. They lose a sense of who they are. They can forget their names, their homes, their families, and they can find themselves alone in a world that no longer makes sense. That's what made Robert's situation so dangerous. He could have walked into traffic, collapsed in the woods, or simply wandered off and been lost forever. So authorities wasted no time. Within hours of receiving the report, search and rescue teams mobilized. They focused their efforts near Leamington, using GPS tracking, ATVs, even pilots to assist in the search. Specialized teams were briefed at 6 a.m. the following morning. It had been nearly 14 hours since Robert vanished, but the search was difficult. Unlike a typical missing person, those with dementia don't realize they're lost. They may pace in circles, walk in random directions, or unknowingly avoid help. Search strategies for dementia cases are uniquely difficult, and time was running out. Then, something completely unexpected happened. On May 28th, just after 6:30 a.m., a local news crew from Portland was filming a live segment about Robert's disappearance. They were out on the street, reporting the latest updates, when something unusual happened. An elderly man walked into frame, slowly, quietly. At first, the reporter assumed he was just a bystander, but something about him looked familiar. The cameraman zoomed in, and then the realization hit. It was Robert McDonough. The missing man they were reporting on had walked straight into the live shot.
Anybody get a phone call?
Calling the warden service. They're
I'm still on the phone.
This is Bob. This is you identifying this Bob McDonough?
I think so. It's Bob McDonough. Yeah.
He looks a lot like a
Watch
guy.
yourself.
Yeah,
Watch yourself.
yeah. That's Bob McDonough.
Anybody got a phone? The reporter said, realizing what was happening. This is Bob. This is Bob McDonough. And just like that, the search was over. Against all odds, Robert had wandered back into the city, disoriented but physically unharmed, despite spending the entire night out in the cold. The news crew quickly alerted authorities, and soon after, Robert was safely reunited with his family. It was a miracle, but also a warning, because while this story had a happy ending, it easily could have ended in heartbreak. Robert didn't find his way home. He was just lucky enough to stumble into the right place, at the right moment, while the cameras were rolling. That moment, caught on video, saved his life. A teenager missing for 3 months, believed dead, suddenly walks into a live stream. No one knew it yet, but the camera was filming a miracle. In June of 2024, popular streamers Lacey and his friend Clicks were filming an IRL live stream around Miami, Florida. They were just doing what they always did, walking the city, chatting with fans, and letting the internet tag along for the ride. They had no idea this stream would end up saving someone's life. A few hours into filming, the two stopped for lunch at the Starlight Hotel Cafe. While waiting to order, a shirtless man in nothing but neon green shorts approached their table. At first, Lacey and Clicks assumed he was a fan, maybe a bit overly excited, a common thing for popular creators. But as the man started talking, something felt off. His words were slurred, disconnected, at times, completely unintelligible.
Hey, are you sparring, bro? Are you sparring? Yo, you good, man? Good what?
He didn't seem drunk exactly, just lost. Still, the streamers joked with him briefly before turning back to their camera. The man lingered awkwardly near them for another 30 minutes before finally walking away. They chalked it up to just another strange encounter. But when Lacey later uploaded the edited version of the stream to his YouTube channel, something shocking happened. 2 days after the video went live, Lacey received an email. It read, "Hello, my name is Trent Coleman. My missing little brother from Michigan was on your stream in Miami. He was wearing green shorts, and you were making fun of him. He's not on drugs. He's schizophrenic. And he's 17 years old. He's been missing for 3 months. His case is being investigated as a homicide. Please, contact me." Normally, creators ignore messages like that, assuming they're just trolls. But something about this email felt real. So Lacey started digging. It didn't take long to confirm. Trent was telling the truth. And the young man on stream was Troy Coleman, a 17-year-old missing teen from Mount Morris Township, Michigan, who had vanished on May 17, 2024. Troy's disappearance had gone cold. Investigators feared the worst and reclassified his case as a possible homicide. But now, here he was, alive, wandering the streets of Miami, caught on stream. Lacey took to Twitter, writing, "3 months ago, a 17-year-old kid went missing. Yesterday, he came up to me and clicks on our live stream. His family now knows he's alive." But this incredible discovery was only the beginning of something even stranger. While Troy was still hanging around the cafe, another young fan approached the streamers. Before the kid could say a word, Troy stepped in again, talking nonsense, mumbling things no one could understand. Then, out of nowhere, he handed the kid a styrofoam cup. The boy took a sip, walked away. Lacey's cameraman caught it and pointed it out. Alarm bells went off. What was in that drink? Had Troy just handed that kid something dangerous? Lacey confronted him.
What was in the drink? What was in that drink?
In the drink?
Yeah. You gave it to who?
It was Coke from Beacon Hotel.
Like Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Making sure. You gave it to the kid.
I gave it to a kid.
Surprisingly, his answer was clear, coherent, and that one word, Beacon, gave police exactly what they needed. Authorities traced Troy to the Beacon Hotel. He had been staying there, alone. From there, police quickly located him. His family was notified. Within hours, Troy Coleman was safely reunited with his loved ones. In a later interview, Troy's father, Weston Coleman, revealed more about his son's terrifying journey. Troy had dreamed of going to Florida to meet celebrities. He saved up some money and traveled by bus, making it as far as Atlanta. But once there, he was robbed of everything. No cash, no phone, no ID. Still, he kept going. He made it to Miami completely broke, alone, and off his schizophrenia medication, which made his condition even more unstable. His family had no idea where he was, or if he was even still alive. Somehow, by sheer luck, or fate, he wandered into a live stream, and his brother happened to see it. The footage gave police a lead, and that lead brought Troy home. From what I've found, Troy is now back in Michigan, living with his family, and, thankfully, staying out of trouble. What could have been a tragic ending turned into one of the most unexpected recoveries ever caught on stream. Each of these stories reminds us how quickly a life can be lost, and how rare it is to be found again. A live stream, a news camera, a passing hiker. These moments, often accidental, became lifelines. But not everyone gets that chance. So please, check in on your loved ones, especially those who are vulnerable. Stay aware of your surroundings. And if you see something, never assume it's nothing. It might be everything. If you found these stories powerful, true, and worth remembering, consider subscribing to the channel. We bring you real stories that deserve to be told with the care they deserve. Stay safe out there. Stay alert. And as always, thank you for watching.